Welcome back for a new game review, and this time looking at a retro all-time classic platformer, Crash Bandicoot 2. Hopefully enjoy the Crash 2 music in the background as well. With that said, one thing about Crash, this was the first Crash game I ever actually played. It was not Crash 3 or Crash 1. And in my opinion, this is still arguably my personal favorite of the Crash games. I think Crash 2 just holds a special place, and the fact is, I will always enjoy both. I think one of the things that really stands out to me, though, in the game is personally, I really enjoy the boss battles, even though they may go from like Ripperoo, which is a all-time classic boss with the dynamite and the, of course, nitro. But definitely the boss battles have their own specific thing. That's one thing I always like though. It's all about studying the pattern when it comes to a lot of the bosses in the classic Crash games. It's all about memorizing the patterns and everything, the basic way the computer or boss is going to do in their attack pattern. It's all about memorization. That is how you beat pretty much all the bosses. Whether it be the first one with just the dynamite and everything, whether it be one where you face the two scaly, well, reptile brothers throwing swords, whether it's facing a certain crazy evil doctor with, of course, his robot, whether it is going after Cortex in more of a racing type of game this time around. Now, there's definitely one thing about Crash 2 is the dramatic decrease in difficulty from Crash 1. Though Crash 2 still has a pretty decent difficulty, in my opinion. It's, though, the perfect balance of difficulty, and I think that's good. That way it doesn't turn off as many players, or rather more casual type of players or platformer fans, though people like me who grew up on platformers are used to a decent difficulty. That's the thing, playing the old Mario games, Crash 1 is a little more tolerable, but is still by far, in my opinion, the hardest game in the Crash series. Crash 2 is the perfect balance of everything. The mechanics are solid. Yeah, there is still definitely in the original game, there's definitely still some issues here and there, bugs in the game, but it doesn't change the fact that it is a really good game in gameplay. The music is great. Genuinely, it's a lot of fun getting to also memorize your newer type of jumps, like your higher jump and everything. It's all about memorizing the buttons to know exactly how to do specific moves to get like certain box crates or other things. And like the bonus levels also are a lot of fun finding, discovering to get that, because one of the key things about the Crash games is completionists. For completionists, the game is a nightmare because you have your time trials. You have to get every single box, and in order to do that, you have to find all the secret locations in order to get all the crystals or the gems. The crystals, of course, you get no matter what, but the gems are where the real difficulty is in the game. If you're just playing the game for a fun time only and just play the base game, not worried about gain a perfect completion score, then you're going to have a lot more fun. But for those who are completionists, this game can be quite a chore, even more so Crash 1. But with that said, and you don't get anything super special, unfortunately. Also, though, I do like how there's certain secrets in the game. Like outside one level, there's a little bear. If you jump multiple times, you keep jumping on the bear. Eventually, you will get multiple lives you will receive from jumping on the bear. Not a great thing, I guess you could say, having to jump on a bear, but it is a cool little thing that you learn either by curiosity slash accident, or you learn through people in the school you were going to in the 90s. That's the thing. Like talking to friends about maybe like a little secret you discover, that was a big thing for back in the like 80s and 90s for video games. and that's something you don't really see nowadays. But the Crash games will always hold a special place. Though Mario and Sonic were my introduction to platformers, Crash is, I feel, a mascot and a character, a series that actually is, in my opinion, probably the best overall franchise, though there's definitely been some bad dud Crash games, I will say. Though it doesn't change the fact the original trilogy is great, I only finally picked up Crash 4. Haven't started playing it yet. I'm very curious to play it, but I'm hoping in the near future to finish up a playthrough I was doing a while back on Crash 2 from, of course, the Insane Trilogy, and then maybe eventually get around to playing on Insane Trilogy and uploading from, of course, Crash 3 Warped, and then eventually get to Crash 4. But I want to try to do it. But yeah, overall score, in my opinion, for this great game, a great, superb game from Naughty Dogs, which now goes for more of the story driven, more mature stuff with obviously the Uncharted series and The Last of Us. I miss back when they did stuff like this, though I appreciate at least a certain CEO at Activision for reviving Crash. Thank you. Crash 2 overall, for me, gets an A+, but keep in mind, very biased here. It's my favorite Crash game. It's in my top 10 favorite platformers of all time. So, of course, it's going to get a good score for me. Though I love Crash 3 is probably my second favorite Crash game. But with that said, still, I think it's great overall. I like also one of my personal favorite things about the game is when you die, all the different death animations you get from Crash is really cool too. But I love the variety of different levels, different types of enemies, and like I said, the boss battles are a lot of fun. General, it's just a sheer enjoyment. But that's one of the things I always looked forward to after beating 5 different worlds, going up to face the next boss. I looked forward and was curious, what kind of boss am I going to fight next? Like, how's the combat going to be? Like, the attack patterns and stuff. That's how I was able to adjust to games years later, like Dark Souls, because I played games like this with high difficulties, games like this, or rather Crash 1, because learning attack patterns from bosses, that's something we've been doing since the 80s and 90s. Old school or more old school gamers like myself know what I'm talking about. Dark Souls was a humongous leap if you played some of these other games. With that said, hope everyone has a good holiday season. Stay safe. I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. And eventually, I may also get around to doing a review of Crash 3 Warped. But with that said, stay safe, and I'll see y'all soon enough. And hopefully you enjoyed this. And I have a couple more platform reviews I'm going to be working on in the near future. Stay tuned for those announcements. But I'll see you soon enough. Happy holidays.